Hello knitters, Barbara Benson here. I am an independent knitwear designer who also likes to make videos here on my YouTube channel, Watch Barbara Knit. If you'd like to know more about my knitwear designs, please check in the description below, and there you will find a link to my Ravelry designer page where you can see all of the patterns I have available for you to get and knit up for yourself. Also in the description below, you'll find links to a couple different social media sites. The first one is the Watch Barbara Knit Facebook group. It's a closed group. We'd love to have you come over and join us so that we can continue the conversations that we start here on the YouTube channel. The other one is a link to my Patreon page. Patreon is a service that allows creators to connect with the people who like their work, and it's sort of like a tip jar. If you watch a lot of my videos and you enjoy having me be a part of your week, you might want to hop over there and check and see if you want to support me in that fashion. Today, I am going to do a little bit of a vlog. I have some stuffs and some news and then a topic I want to talk about. It's been a while since I've done a vlog and I thought it was about time. So the first thing I want to show y'all is this shawl I've been working on. This shawl, let me tell you, it is sort of taken a life of its own. I believe I've shown the yarn. It's Malabrigo Rios. So Malabrigo Rios, and they did this, it's a new color for this year. It is Living Coral. I think it might just be called Coral, but it is the Pantone color of the year for 2019. And I got my hands on some of it, 4 skeins to be exact, and I decided I was going to make a gigantic shawl. And I am in the very end of it. Y'all cannot believe this is the final of 4 skeins, and honestly I'm only going to use about half of it because I know that most knitters are not going to do a gauge swatch for a shawl. I know, I mean, you're like, of course not. I always do gauge swatches, but there are a lot of people out there, believe it or not, who don't. So when I design, I leave yarn on the table, as it were. I look at the total quantity I have, which in this case is 400 grams, and I leave like 10%. So there's wiggle room, because I really don't want anybody to run out of yarn and be upset with me. So, so look at this thing. Look how much this is. I don't even know if I can show it to y'all, because I think this is like a 40 something, maybe even 60. It's a very, my stitch markers hit my microphone. It's a very long needle, but I have so many stitches on the needle that I can't really, there's not a whole lot I can show you. It's just a big hot mess. You can't spread it out because there's just not enough room. So it is, you can see the beginning here. It is a top-down, it's like a top-down triangle, but it's a top-down 3 panel. So it's actually going to have a triangle and a triangle and a triangle. So it'll come over the shoulders and be straight across the back. It's a 3/4 of a square, and I've designed one piece like this, and I really wanted to design more because I really like the shape. It stays on very nicely. I did a whole lot that is simply this texture pattern, which I absolutely love. It's very soothing to knit yarn, and it's very tempting to I just was kind of like, I could just knit the whole thing like this, but I decided against it. I think it's super pretty though. And then, so this is what the crazy part is. I decided that so you've got this increase point. And I decided I didn't want to continue that increase point because I wanted to do a little bit of a simple lace pattern. And I didn't want to put those increases in the lace. I just wanted a band of the lace. And so what I did is I got to the point where the math would work, and instead of continuing with the top-down 3-panel shaping, I did a half pie shawl increase. It's the increase you would use to do a half circle, and literally it pretty much doubled the number of stitches on the needle, which is why it's done this at the bottom. You can see it's all bunchied up. But I can show you and spread out a bit of the lace. It's almost more of a texture than a lace. The yarn overs are allowing me to just do some manipulation. And I probably only have 4 more rows, not a whole lot of rows left. It's eating yarn at this point. But I have no idea what the final shape is going to look like. I don't know. It's so bunched up on the needle until I get it off the needle and on the blocking board. I really don't know what shape it's going to be. So y'all will know when I know. It'll be a surprise. And as I've been talking and hearing myself talk, I feel like a little bit of a southern accent. I don't know it's necessarily my southern accent. I have been listening to an audiobook. I think I'm 20 some odd hours into it, and it's set in like early 19th century Alabama, and they have these beautiful southern accents, and I'm feeling it. I've been listening to it so much, I'm feeling it creeping into my own speech patterns. So if you're like, what is going on with Barbara's voice? It's because I'm listening to this book, and it's just everybody talks with these beautiful drawls. I mean, it's southern. It's the beautiful southern. And so if you're wondering, I think I've been doing that. So that is the new shawl. Hopefully I'm going to get it done before the end of the month. Now there's a second thing that will be coming hopefully before the end of the month. We are planning a knit along for my new book, Big Yarn, Beautiful Lace Knits. It's all lace patterns knit in bulky yarns. And the plan is to start probably at the end of the month or the very beginning of October. And we'll be running it on both Ravelry and on the Facebook group. So whichever place you want to participate or both, come on over. I will put links in the description below where you can find the discussion thread in Ravelry, or just I'll probably post something in the Facebook group so you can look at that. It's a little bit harder because Facebook doesn't put things in chronological order, so it rearranges stuff, so I don't have as much control over that. But we are currently discussing, people are talking to me about picking out their yarns, what patterns they're going to use. And one thing, so this is about Big Yarn Beautiful Lace Knits, but I want everybody to be able to participate whether or not they have a book. So any of my patterns that use bulky yarn, that call for bulky yarn, are acceptable for this knit along. And there's a list of the patterns. I have like 6 or 7 other patterns in bulky yarn, and that list is at the beginning, and it's in my Ravelry group, but I'll also post links in the description below to those. So if you haven't managed to get the book yet, you can still participate using one of those patterns. But I would love y'all to come over and participate. So, and what a knit along is it's just a bunch of people getting together and knitting similar things. Sometimes it's just one pattern. This time it's a theme, which is the bulky lace, bulky yarn pattern. So the theme is Barbara Benson bulky patterns. BBBP, I guess. But specifically, it's to celebrate my new book. So if you have any questions about knit-alongs, let me know in the comments below, or come over to either Ravelry or the Facebook group and we can talk further about it. My family and I are going to Disney the weekend of the 20th through the 22nd to celebrate our birthdays. So it definitely will not start until after that. We can still discuss when, we want that to start. So knit along, come knit with us. And then finally, I said I had a couple things I wanted to show you, and that was it, those new news type things. And then I wanted to, there's something that's been percolating in my mind that I've been wanting to talk to y'all about. And what that is, and it's kind of the reason why I started this YouTube channel. Doing the YouTube channel, it's kind of an extreme example of what I'm getting ready to talk about, but we're all members of a fiber community and a fiber industry, and we all participate in different ways. I mean, for me, it's my profession. It's how it's my business. It's my career. It's how I make money. For y'all, some of you are designers. I know that some of y'all, and yay, some of y'all are yarn dyers. I know that there are ones out there who do sample knitting. So it is also like your business, or at least part of your livelihood. But even with the people who they're in this industry because it's their job, just as important are the people who are the crafters in this community. You're just as much of a part of this industry, and you're the reason why the industry really even exists. And I started this YouTube channel because I wanted to have a voice and a way to lift up this industry, this community, to use my little voice to introduce y'all to small and independent, different designers, different yarns, and not even small, I mean even bigger. Look at all these cool new yarns. Look at the wonderful things that are going on in this industry. And what I'm getting to is ways that you, and I'm talking to you, can help support people in this industry that doesn't cost you any money. Because free, who doesn't like free? There's so many ways. You don't know how powerful your voice is, I'm guessing, and how important your voice can be in this discussion. And I wanted to mention some ways that you can help support the designers, the yarn dyers, the people who make all our fun notions and jewelry and funny t-shirts and everything that makes the fiber industry such a wonderful place to be and makes it a community. And one of the great ways, and yes, obviously patronizing them, and you do that, but you know what? You only have so much money. And there's only so much yarn you can buy. There's only so many patterns you can buy. But even if you're not in a position to spend that money, you can always use your voice to help uplift this industry. And really importantly, it's social media. And that's why I started the YouTube channel, to use this voice to help amplify others. But you might have Facebook. You might have Instagram, you might be on Ravelry, you might be on Pinterest, and all of these platforms have ways of sharing the things that you love. On Ravelry, on every pattern page, there's a little square and there's a little button that says share. And when you push that little share button, it gives you the option of Facebook and Pinterest and a couple other ones. And all you have to do is click that button and then you can share it to like your Facebook feed. And you have no idea how much that could mean to that designer, that you put it on your Facebook feed and then maybe somebody else sees it and then you've sold a pattern for that designer, and every single pattern counts for a designer. If you can't use the share button, you can always copy the URL and paste it into your Facebook feed. And you know what? If you have friends that like knitting, maybe they'll like it and maybe they'll share it. Or if you're looking at Facebook and you see something that you really like knitting wise, there's a little share button and you can share it on your feed, or you can share it, especially if you're in any of the conversational groups. I mean, there's our group, but there's also like general conversation, like the one's called Knitting Addicts and one's called Knit and Chat. Those groups, you can say, hey, look at this cool designer or pattern or yarn I found. Sharing something that you love and speaking passionately about it will, get other people enthusiastic about it. So sharing those things on Facebook is a huge, huge thing for especially small business people. Sharing it on Instagram. Also use your Instagram stories. But then at the same time, if you're knitting, like if you're knitting one of my patterns, or if you're knitting with an Indie Dyers yarn, sharing photographs of what you're doing on Instagram and tagging them and saying, hey, look, I got this yarn from at whatever the name of the yarn company is, Molly Girl Yarn. And then that dyer is going to know, because you get a notification when someone ats you. And that'll, when people share and I get added like that, it just makes my day. I mean, it's just fantastic because I see that people are working on stuff that I'm doing. So you got your phone with you, take a picture of what you're working on, share it to Instagram, share it to Facebook, link to those people's. And if someone likes what you're doing and they click on that, they'll go through. And that's just, it's word of mouth. And just that little tiny bit you can do can make a huge difference for products that you love. The same on Ravelry. Making a Ravelry project page for a pattern that you've knit and putting up a picture. And especially, like, again, if you used a yarn you particularly love, then that yarn gets, when anyone else looks at that pattern page and they click on the yarn ideas button, that will be suggested as one of the yarns that somebody used to knit that pattern. So that is fantastic. And then always Pinterest. Again, Ravelry has that Pinterest button, or you can just copy and paste URLs and sharing on Pinterest a product you like Katrinkles and her adorable little all her little wooden things, saying, hey, this is awesome, or again, a yarn. Sharing these things on your social media, it just makes a huge impact. You can make a huge impact in this way, and it doesn't cost you anything, and it's again the reason why I started this YouTube video. I started the YouTube channel to reach out and contact and get in touch with y'all, and to make that connection, but also to try to be a more vocal and supportive part of this industry. So I think I've got my point. I might have belabored it. I might have belabored it a little tiny bit, but I hope I got my point across, that don't underestimate the power of simply clicking share. Don't underestimate the power that your voice has talking about something that you love at your knit night or whatever, mentioning it to your local yarn store owner. And I'm not saying that you should do this like out of obligation. It's just, you know what? If you love something, scream it from the top of the rooftops. Because if there's one thing that most knitters I've ever met enjoy, it's being enabled. It's learning about new yarn. It's seeing beautiful new things. We all love eye candy, and this is just an extension of that. So that is my little tiny soapbox that I have been thinking about for a while. And if you have any thoughts about ways that we can make this community better, please let me know in the comments below. Any suggestions of things that you can do that I missed. is fantastic. And I need to wrap it up. I've been talking for a long time. So don't forget, watch out for this behemoth of a shawl that I've been working on. And no, I'm looking at my screen. It's not as orange as it looks here. It definitely has more of has reddery, so it's coral is the color. So it's beautiful. And then check out all the information on the knit along that's going to start at the end of the month. And also one final thing, my husband went to Dragon Con, the science fiction convention, and he brought me back this awesome thing. Isn't it great? And again, it's what I just said. So this is a company, it's an artist, and it's called Red Rocket Farm. And if you look, you can see, look at the robot, and he dropped his ice cream cone. He's so sad. Since we've been going to Dragon Con, we've been going for years, we've gotten these little wooden sculptures. My son now has 3 little wooden robot sculptures, and it's an independent artist. He does funny things. We particularly liked the robots, but this one my husband got me, and it's super fun. So I know that they're on Instagram. Check them out. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, click that like button. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload a new video, please subscribe to my channel and select notifications. Thank you so much.